Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of The Guido Goes Off. As always, I thank you folks for watching, and thank you for tuning in, because it's finally here! It's Wrestlemania Week! With that being said, here on The Guido Goes Off, we're going to celebrate WrestleMania Week in style with a variety of shows. And today, we're going to kick things off in a most shocking manner. Because I'm going to talk about the top 10 WrestleMania shockers. Now, basically for me, what constitutes a shocker is something totally unexpected, something, really out there, something almost impossible. I mean, we're talking like, Nikki Bella becoming a nun unexpected. Yeah, that's kind of gone up since WrestleMania is in the Big Easy. This is going to be very hard to resist. But anyway, getting back to the moments that shocked us from WrestleMania's past. Of course, there is another shocker. A good friend of mine, Kathy, actually going to WrestleMania. I did tell you this was going to be an honorable mention, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Now, let's get into the top 10, for me, the top 10 WrestleMania shockers. Okay, starting off at number 10 was the split of Strikeforce. This occurred at WrestleMania 5. For those of you that don't know, Strikeforce was a team comprised of Tito Santana and Rick Martel. Of course, two great wrestlers in their own right. They had been working together, even had a WWE Tag Team Championship run. However, Rick Martel did get injured, and then Tito was having to go on his own. But after that, and doing a little rehab kind of in singles wrestling, the two reunited to face off against a crown jewel in the Heenan family, that being the Brainbusters. And now you're talking another rather great wrestling tag team of Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. You know, these guys strike gold everywhere. So, what happened was, during the match, Tito Santana was kind of a house of fire, kind of taking it on his own, but they still hadn't quite re-gelled, and it had captured that magic, and it got even worse, as in the middle of the match, Tito Santana hit the flying elbow. He was targeting Tully Blanchard, but Tully ducked out of the way, and he hit Rick Martel with it. It then boiled down into basically Tito trying to carry the load on his own, knowing how devastating his finisher was. But then, when he finally was able to get the tag, Martel walked away and then simply walked off, saying that he was tired of it, he was better off on his own, and of course this then led to Rick Martel becoming the model Rick Martel. Pretty much the pinnacle of his career. A lot of people thought, did this happen? This happened. What's going on? And of course the booing ensued. So number 10, the split of Strikeforce. Okay, the number 9 shocker, actually, for people that are kind of in the know, wasn't really that much of a shocker, but it was highly questionable. But it is also the most recent on this countdown, as it comes from last year, WrestleMania 33, that being the return of the Hardys. As people know, they had ended their relationship with, at the time, Impact Global Force, whatever it was at the time, wrestling, and had signed a 1 month deal with Ring of Honor, so they could have the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships. Like literally the night before, they had an amazing ladder match with the Young Bucks over the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships. That deal and their deal with Ring of Honor ended that night. So literally 24 hours later, got snuck into the arena, And we're introduced by the New Day as a surprise entrant in the um sorry in the ladder match for the the Raw Tag Team Championships, ending up winning the thing. So of course it was a big surprise. A lot of us were like, okay, we're hearing this is happening. Are they gonna pull off? They pulled. It's been one of the rare instances lately where they pulled it off, and it worked. And now we have woken Matt Hardy in WWE. So it's always great to see a surprise return, especially of somebody of guys like the Hardys. We all know their love of wrestling, their love of the business, and to see them back was just a huge moment. Okay, moving on to my number 8. Basically, easily the most disturbing entry on this list, and that is Boss Man hanging out at WrestleMania 15. So, basically, this was another part of the vaunted streak of Undertaker wrestling the Big Boss Man. It was, it was still while the corporation and the ministry was still kind of feuding, as the two premier heel entities in WWE. It did lead to a match between Big Boss Man and The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell. The match itself was, fairly good, but it's what happened at the end. When Edge and Christian descended from the ceiling onto the Hell in a Cell, throwing a rope into the structure, and then Taker looping it around Boss Man's neck. The lights go out. When the lights come back on, Boss Man's hanging. Again, it's definitely one of the most disturbing things. They haven't done something like that since, and it was kind of freaky. I mean, I know there's ways, we probably had like a belt on with like some, cables that was actually holding him up. Still, a little freaky, right? Right? Nobody was right. Anyway, so moving on to number 7, Wrestlemania, or at least now in this case, Wrestlemania 1. From WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan beating the top 3 guys in the company in the same night. I mean, it was a big deal when Jericho did it at the Vengeance pay-per-view of 2001, becoming the first. For the first time like ever, a unified, undisputed the undisputed WWE champion. But Bryan himself had a huge, tall order in it. And that with it being, he had at the beginning of the night he had to face Triple H. If he won that match, he would be put into the main event against Batista and Randy Orton, making the match a triple threat. Now, I'd like to think this is something where fans had input because nobody wanted to see Randy Orton Batista. But throwing Daniel Bryan into the mix did make it great for fans, and of course, Bryan had the odds stacked against him. And while, afterwards, his title run and the unfortunate sudden end of it did suck, but you're talking about, at least up to now, one of the biggest moments and proof that the underdog can win in WWE, overcoming all odds. I think he got Batista to tap out to the yes lock. Yeah, I think it was, yeah. And so therefore, WrestleMania, or Daniel Bryan winning the unified WWE Championship, that made number 7 on the list. Number 6 entry on the countdown, easily one of the bigger shockers in the early history of WrestleMania. This being involving the tournament at WrestleMania 4 to crown a new WWE champion. as many people know, what led up to this was the infamous twin referee scandal at the main event in 1987, where the $1 Million Man paid for plastic surgery to get a second referee, just like the referee who's going to referee the match between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant for the WWF Championship. Of course, now we know today there's just twins. Easiest way to do it in any situation. But all this led up to the title being declared vacant, and the necessity for that big 14-man tournament at WrestleMania 4. But easily, the biggest shock of the night was the fact that neither Hulk Hogan or Andre the Giant was going to be fighting for that championship. What I'm talking about, of course, is the double countout in the Hulk Hogan Andre the Giant match at WrestleMania 4. For those of you who probably don't remember, they could have easily made it so that Hulk and Andre would have fought in the finals. However, WWE President Jack Tunney said, no, we're going to have you guys fight. And basically they had him fight in the second round. Well, the match was chaos. The match was all over the map. And then it ended up with both Hogan and Andre beating the crap out of each other on the outside of the ring, and the referee giving the 10 count. Both men counted out. Of course, as everybody knows, Randy Savage went on to win the championship, facing the $1 Million Man in the finals. And of course, Hulk and Andre got involved in that. But yeah, it was a huge shock with those two being eliminated from the tournament in a double disqualification, in a double count. Sorry. But yeah, so and go back and watch it. It was crazy. But yeah, number 6, the Hulk Andre double count. On to number 5, the number 5 spot on the countdown. All I have to do is say this, and usually everyone will know what I'm talking about. 18 seconds. From WrestleMania 28, the opening match of the card, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match between Daniel Bryan and Sheamus. Daniel Bryan going in as the World Heavyweight Champion. AJ Lee in his corner, going up against Sheamus, who I'm pretty sure he won the Royal Rumble that year, and that gave him the shot at the championship of his choosing, which was the World Heavyweight Championship. Of course, beating Sheamus is a tall order. Daniel Bryan, is a great wrestler. We all know that, and is great on overcoming odds, as we spoke about earlier. But when the bell rang and AJ Lee gave him that kiss for good luck, well, it turned out to be the kiss of death. As soon as Bryan turned around, brogue kick, cover, 1, 2, 3, 18 seconds. Sheamus defeats Daniel Bryan for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. It's still one of the things that's kind of dogged Bryan's career ever since. But, like I said, he really has moved on to bigger and better things. And, now, because he's been medically cleared, is getting the opportunity to do it again. But this is easily his darkest day. And was quite a shock to open up WrestleMania 28. So, the number 5 spot, 18 seconds. Moving on to the number 4 spot on this countdown. You never saw this person really ever get physically involved in a match. And granted, this was after the fact, but still, it really showed devotion. The devotion, even against all odds and against someone's judgment. This being Miss Elizabeth saving the Macho Man at WrestleMania 7. As everyone knows, I'm sorry. I'm going to take you back to WrestleMania 7. It was basically a loser leaves WWE match between at the time Macho King Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior. The match was really good pace, back and forth, but it did end up with the Ultimate Warrior winning. So therefore, the Macho King's WWE career was over. This upset Sensational Sherry, Macho's valet at the time, quite greatly. And, well, she pretty much started kicking the holy crap out of Savage while he was down. And, it kept focusing on Elizabeth, and Miss Elizabeth was in the crowd the whole time. And you saw her, her kind of, start to tear up, and then finally she couldn't take it anymore. She jumped out of the crowd, ran to the ring in heels, by the way. Let's not forget that part. And then grabbed Sherry, did what she could. She grabbed Sherry by the hair, whipped her around, and drove Sherry off. And it has led to one of the most touching, the shocking moment did lead to one of the most touching moments in WrestleMania history, the reunion of Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth. It did lead up to their wedding at, I believe, the SummerSlam that year, and then of course then other things. It led to him the next year winning the WWF Championship from Ric Flair, becoming a two-time WWF champion. So, let's face facts. Savage was always at his greatest with Elizabeth by his side. He could have Sensational Sherry. He could have Gorgeous George, Miss Madness, Medusa. He could have all the other women around him, but let's face facts. When he was with Miss Elizabeth, he was at his finest. So seeing those two come together, it was a very emotional moment at WrestleMania 7 and in the annals of WrestleMania history. But the fact that Elizabeth got physically involved, which she had never done before, that was shocking. And that's why it's on this list. Number 4, Elizabeth saving Savage. And that was Stone Cold Steve Austin joining forces with Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 17. The main event of that card saw Stone Cold taking on The Rock for the WWF Championship. Or was it? No. Yeah, it was just 2001. Vince had lost earlier in the night in a match against Shane, but then this, was your main event. I mean, WrestleMania 17 is a great card. A lot of people say it's their favorite WrestleManias. It's easily one of my favorites. For many reasons. There was a lot of great matches. Of course, it has my number 3 guilty pleasure, the Gimmick Battle Royal. But the biggest surprise was left for last. It was Rock versus Austin. The Rock was the WWF champion at the time. Stone Cold was going in. And during an interview between the two, Austin said, I need this. I need this more than you can possibly imagine. How bad did he need this? Well, as the match was going on, Vince and The Rock was covering Austin. Vince pulled The Rock out, or pulled the referee out, knocked him out, then handed to Austin a chair. And Austin went to town. It was clear how much the WWE Championship meant to him, that he was willing to join forces with, well, as we all know, well documented, his greatest enemy ever, Mr. McMahon. And that was shocking. The whole, the Astrodome was in silence. And then, of course, the chorus of boos rained down. And I mean boos. Kind of like the ones that Roman Reigns got, but Reigns gets nowadays. But Austin earned these by not only turning heel, but joining forces with his greatest enemy, simply to be champion once again. And it left a lot of us dumbstruck, because Vince, Austin, together. Now, of course, later on the road, you're talking the invasion angle, and things got a little weird, but that was then. But this set up easily one of the craziest things that happened at WrestleMania. And still to this day, I find it hard to believe, but it happened, and Lord, it was. I still rewatch it. Like I said, WrestleMania 17 is one of my personal favorites, favorite pay-per-views of all time, especially of WrestleManias. And to see that was shocking. So, their number 3 spot, Austin and Vince joined forces. The number 2 shocker. Well, let me set the stage for you. It's WrestleMania 31. You're at the main event. It's Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, and people are, split, because nobody liked Brock as champion, but then again, nobody was really keen on Reigns either. But then Seth Rollins changes everything. The 2 WrestleMania shocker, Seth cashes in. Now, a lot of people, this was really unexpected, as, simply put, nobody had done this before. Usually the cash in was usually done after a match, when someone is, worn out or beaten or tired. It had never been done in the middle of a match. But it happened, and Seth cashed in. One curb stomp on Roman Reigns later, Seth Rollins pretty much not only backdooring his way to the match, sneaking away with the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. This really saved, I want to say, 31 was a decent WrestleMania, a decent pay-per-view, but by WrestleMania standards, there's a lot that was leaving a lot of bad tastes in people's mouths, and it was just kind of a shocker. Because, like I said, no one had ever cashed in the Money in the Bank in the middle of a match before. And I don't think it has since. For that to happen was just, Okay, now before I go on to my number 1 WrestleMania shocker, I'm going to give you some honorable mentions. My first honorable mention, Trish turns on Jericho, WrestleMania 20. For those of you that don't know, there had been this, kind of a romance between Trish Stratus and Chris Jericho. Now, this had been after the fact that she had found out that there had been a bet going on between Chris Jericho and Christian over who could score with either Trish Stratus or Lita. And the the amount in question, $1 Canadian. It's nice to know a woman's heart and body can go for 74 cents. But, after that was all said and done, though, Chris was like, in the middle of this, I fell for you, and things were wonderful. And then Christian was getting in the middle of it, saying it was, distracting him, and then he actually attacked Trish, which had led up to the match at WrestleMania 20 between Jericho and Christian. In which, but then you see Trish Stratus come to ringside to, cheer on Jericho. And then, Christian dragging her into the ring and throwing her into the corner. And then, Chris dispatches of Christian. He goes to check on her, and, seemingly not thinking it's Christian, she elbows him in the head, which leads up to the roll-up to where Christian got the victory. Then, you check on each other. It's like, oh, you're all right. Oh, you're all right. You're all right. Slap! And then slap! And I think like another slap! And then Christian hit the unprettier. I think it was the unprettier at the time. And, Jericho's just left there with egg on his face, realizing, dude, I just got fooled. Again, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. So it's you kind of could have seen this coming, but not a lot of people did. It was a pretty shocking moment because they thought everything's fine. No, things were not fine. Another honorable mention: the two doinks from WrestleMania 9. As everybody knows, at the start of his career, Doink the Clown was an evil clown. Gleefully torturing children. I mean, okay, pulling pranks, torturing children, not like John Wayne Gacy stuff. But one person that had enough of these was Crush. This was after Demolition had disbanded, and Crush basically became big tan Hawaiian, throwing up more shakas than the guys that run the zip line. Good guy Crush. Well, he was pulling some pranks on Crush, shooting water in his eyes, even having offering a handshake, but he had a fake hand attached to a fake arm. And well, it did culminate in a match at WrestleMania 9. Now Crush I think the ref had got knocked out, and Crush had that head vice on Doink when another Doink slipped out from underneath the ring and hit him with that plaster arm. The two then did a little mirror thing, and the other one hit underneath the ring, and cover count 1, 2, 3. Doink beats Crush. So honorable mention, 2 Doinks. Third honorable mention, the return of the Dead Man at WrestleMania 20. At the Survivor Series prior, I believe 2003. Yeah, at the Survivor Series prior, it was the Undertaker versus Vince McMahon in I think it was Undertaker versus Mr. McMahon in a Buried Alive match. And of course, there are no rules in those. And then Kane interferes. I don't know what he did, but then Kane gave the signal to the guy operating the dumper, and Kane buried Undertaker alive, essentially. Now this was, of course, the end of what we might see at WrestleMania. This was the end of the main run of was Biker Taker or American Badass Undertaker. And basically Kane was saying, there's a reason I did what I did, and that's because the reason I did what I did to the Undertaker, he had become one of you. He basically saying he had become mortal. He had become weak. And so he felt he needed to bury the Undertaker. But then, there's the messages in that. And at WrestleMania 20, the Undertaker returns. But not the American Badass Undertaker. No, we are talking the Dead Man. The aura of invulnerability. The mysticalness. The undead wizard we all know and love had returned. I just still think it was funny that whole time he's screaming, "You're not real! You're not real!" And Paul Bearer was out there too, and Taker, and Taker's in the ring, and then Kane's like, "You're not real." He's like trying to reach out and to touch him, and then the fight ensues, and Taker wins, and all's right with the world. Kane becomes the first 2-time victim of the streak, but still funny as heck. As fun as it was, that big shocker, because you're thinking he's not gonna come. He's just gonna come back as Biker Taker. Nope, back to the Dead Man. And so my honorable mention: the return of the Dead Man from WrestleMania 20. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the top. The number one WrestleMania shocker. And I'm sure a lot of you probably already know what it is. And, well, let's face facts. Easily the most shocking thing that could ever happen at WrestleMania. I dropped, I'm sure people's jaws dropped to the floor. I remember dropping my soda. My friend dropped his kid. Was how shocked we were by this. And you saw the faces in the crowd. And of course, one face still iconic, symbolizing this moment. And so, my number one WrestleMania shocker, the end of the streak. WrestleMania 30, Brock Lesnar breaks the streak, becoming the one in 21-1. When words cannot express, a lot of us know of the, know the nature of professional wrestling, know the workings of it, and much like what happened at the end of this past year's WrestleMania, these things that get to you. There are things that we, had come to expect at WrestleMania, and one of those was Taker winning. But now we see he's lost twice at WrestleMania, but still has a record that nobody will touch. Unbeaten in 21 appearances at WrestleMania. But to see Brock Lesnar put an end to the streak, that was hard to recover from. I'm sure that there might be some people that might feel the same way if and when Asuka's streak is broken. But the unbeaten streak of The Undertaker at WrestleMania was just something a lot of fans took for granted, no matter the challenge. And there have been some heavy hitters that have fallen in the streak. The likes of Kane, the likes of Triple H, Shawn Michaels, CM Punk, King Kong Bundy, even Diesel. There's Hall of Famers that have been victims of the streak. It's kind of one of those things you just took for granted. And then when it ended, you just, words couldn't describe how you felt. There's pictures that can kind of do it justice. But to see that happen was shocking. And so that's why it's here at the top of my list. My number one WrestleMania shocker, the end of the streak. Well, that is my top 10 WrestleMania shockers. I had a good time putting this list together, and I hope you had a good time watching this show. So what WrestleMania moments shocked you? Leave me a line in the comments section below, and as always, you can talk to me via social media. I will be doing more shows, in honor of WrestleMania week. I'm probably going to start, banging them out as much as I can, because, I got my own personal preparations to get going for the showcase of the Immortals. The big one, the grand. Oh wait, we can't say that. It makes it sound old. So until next time, I hope you're getting ready for WrestleMania. But until next time, I'm the Guido, and I think we're done here.